Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello.
Hello and Happy New Year.
Yeah, indeed. Happy New Year. We've done one show already this year, but things have changed a bit in the UK, hence why you're seeing what you're seeing now. We did our VCQ on Monday, and we were all fizzy about filming tomorrow. And then, of course, the evening came and our Prime Minister put us into another national lockdown in the UK. So we decided not to film because it would be the wrong thing to do. So instead, Dan and I are responsibly, socially distancing, doing a compilation show to buy us a week until we can think about what to do next to get some content for all you lovely people out there.
There you go. Yes. So, yes, compilation show, our favourite bits of 2020.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know about you, Dan, but I was looking back through the videos and given that, 7 months of it was spent under COVID restrictions of some kind or other, I think we made a fair fist of it.
Yeah, definitely. A fair fist is an apt analogy. Yeah, there were some really fantastic moments.
Without a doubt. I mean, in other years, we would have had more guests in for sure because that was more possible. But we did have 2 or 3 across the year and we discovered some new things and we just kept moving forward like we always do. So between us, we've picked 10 things, our 10 favourite moments of 2020. And we're going to go through them now.
Beautiful. All right, number 1.
Yeah, number 1. Funnily enough, Dan and I, we both put a shortlist together of our 10 favourite things, and the first 6 things, or at least 6 of the things, we absolutely agreed on. They were the same for both of us, so I think there's a fair amount of consensus. But I'll kick off with this one, and it is watching Dan's reaction to a cranked Fender Super Reverb.
Just awesome, man.
There you go. We didn't crank them to 10 because I think that's enough volume for a minute.
I didn't know they could do that.
Oh, really?
I didn't know they'd sound like that. The funniest thing about that for me was it's an amp that we've used a bunch of times in the show, and I'm obviously not overly familiar with it, but it's an amp that I thought I knew. Yeah. But I wasn't prepared for that, and also considering that I've seen Matt Schofield and his Super a bunch of times. But yeah, that what happened when that turned up and all those 10-inch speakers started working together, and man, it was an absolutely glorious thing.
It really is. And it's certainly given us some ideas for videos that we'll do this year, 2021, because there is a palpable difference between your amp set kind of quietly and when it's cranked. In some cases, and the Super is a really fantastic example of this, I mean, you would swear blind it wasn't the same amp.
No, totally different animal. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Very cool. So do you think we'll be cranking the Super more in 2021, Dan?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope we're cranking all the amps a lot more in 2021, to be honest.
Well, you were even talking about trying to find an old one.
Yeah, I've been looking around for an old one. I started using this hook amplifier that I've sort of fallen in love with. It's wonderful. And it's sort of blackface meets Dumbly type thing. And what I want to do is build a 3x10 cab in like a Bandmaster style thing. Just out for my own curiosity. And give that a go. But yeah, I mean, there's something about an old Super. I mean, obviously the amp that we have sounds great, and it's a reissue, and that's perfectly fine. But thinking on the tones of hearing Matt Schofield and his Super when it was really giving it the beans has made me think seriously about finding an old Super.
About looking for an old one.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next I believe you're up, Daniel.
Yeah, number 2. We went to Macaris this year and met up with our dear friend Josh Scott and did a special on Tonebenders. Check it out, man. Mark 1 Tonebender.
That book is amazing.
Isn't it incredible? Why don't we go and do a Tonebender special, but do it at Macaris in London?
Killer idea.
Hey guys, Josh here. I hear you're going to Macaris in London to do a special on Tonebenders. I'd love to come along if that's okay. I won't get in the way, I promise. I just want to see the magic happen.
Let's go. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Josh here, and on today's episode, I'm here at Macaris, and we're going to learn all about the mighty Tonebender. In 1965, it comes onto the scene and forever changes music as we know it.
What's going on?
Yeah, so this is my favourite thing. We call this the system Tonebender.
Wow, what a fun day that was. I don't know if you remember, Dan, but that was in March.
Right.
Just as the COVID, I think it was in March, or maybe it was at the end of February. I can't actually remember the date, but it was just as COVID was kicking off.
Yeah.
And there was talk of lockdown. There was talk of, this thing that nobody knew anything about. And those guys were here, and I think they were kind of itching to get back to the US in case it all went really crazy wrong.
Yeah, totally.
But in the meantime, Ant Macari graciously invited us to his store there, which it no longer is.
Yeah. I think, one of the big things for me is just seeing those, the original Tonebenders. And of course, seeing the pedal that may well have been the prototype for the fuzz face. Yeah. Man, just to, actually have those things in your hands and, the sounds that people were producing with these things changed the course of music as we knew it and as we know it. And just, wonderful. And doing that with Josh as well and hearing his take on those things. Just magic day.
The thing I remember will be playing really loud and then the resonance of all the acoustic guitars hanging on the walls.
That was great.
The sympathy, the rock and roll sympathy. I also think this is interesting, Dan. Everyone seems to be talking about Tonebenders a bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from, whether it comes from Josh, whether we've had a hand in that. And, of course, at Macaris, because of the whole colour sound lineage, more clones being available. Tonebenders seem to be a thing a bit more.
They're definitely back on the radar now for a lot of people, which is great and where they deserve to be.
So what's the enduring question that's confusing us all then?
As in the difference between Tonebenders and fuzz faces?
No, why aren't more people doing a really great Mark 1 reissue?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's so interesting, isn't it? because there's Mark 2s and 1.5s and, everyone's got loads of takes on those. But yeah, finding serious Mark 1 Tonebender there's not a whole lot of those out there. And it was our favourite one of the day.
It was. Because for those of you who don't know, Boss have announced a collaboration with Macaris and Colour Sound, with Ant Macari, to do a really traditional type Tonebender in a Boss compact enclosure. We'll be seeing that in 2021.
Yeah, so we'll get one of those as soon as we can and check it out. But yes, eyes peeled for really good Mark 1 clones.
Cool. All right, moving on. This sort of happened by accident, really. Dan and I did a show, I think it was called Massive Reverbs. And the excuse for doing it was that there were 3 new reverbs out last year. The CXM78 from Macaris and Chase Bliss, the Black Hole from Eventide, and what's the other one, Dan?
The other one was the Strymon Night Sky.
Strymon Night Sky, yeah. So we thought we'd have a look at those side by side. And in order to put them in some sort of context, which we also want to do more of in 2021, Dan and I had a little jam. And actually that jam was one of the rare moments of music for me in 2020.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Something just happened. Yeah, man, that was so cool. So cool.
Well, the way it worked was Dan was set up with the stereo reverbs left and right. And then for the bits where I played lead on, there was just a Hot Rod Deluxe. I say just a Hot Rod Deluxe. A Hot Rod Deluxe fed into the effects loop return from a Kingsley Maiden preamp and a Kingsley Paso Doble, which is a custom pedal. There it is.
Gorgeous.
That I asked Simon at Kingsley to make, or Dan and I asked Simon at Kingsley to make, which is a dual page DS. So it's part of a bit of a crazy stereo dual mono wet dry rig that's coming together for 2021 for a bit of fun. And we had lots of nice comments. So
it's lovely.
We should do more of that, Daniel.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that sort of sits you outside your normal parameters and just gets you thinking, a bit, anything that pushes you outside that comfort zone and gets you generating ideas that you wouldn't normally fall under the fingers. And I think anything that does that can only be a good thing.
It was almost the perfect segue to the next thing, Dan.
Indeed. Okay. So, this was one of my favorite moments. So when Mick and I did the Comfort Zone Challenge, and I must admit, when I did mine, and I thought, you know what, I'm really pleased with this. Well, you know, as pleased as I can be. I thought, yeah, I think I'll do well with this challenge. You know, I think, you know, I was happy with the sounds I got, and you know, it wasn't completely terrible playing. And I thought, yeah, I think I'll do well. So I watched Mick watch mine first, and it was, you know, it was great and it was really funny. And then I watched Mick's video, and it was epic. But then there's a moment in that video where there's a drone footage of Mick on the hay bales, and it just it finished me off. It was perfection.
We told the story of how that happened in the video, so by all means go back and watch it. But, you know, apart from the fun of just taking the creative breaks off and just going for it, because there's nothing hanging on it when you do something like that. It's a bit of fun, and we're doing it, you know, in the context of TPS, so it's not, you know, it's not War and Peace or anything like that. So you just feel a bit freer to just let go a bit. And actually what comes out of that can be really rewarding for both of us.
Sure. Yeah, no, again, brilliant fun, and things that, you know, make you turn left instead of right. You know, something always interesting is always going to come from those moments.
Yeah,
and
I think, you know, if we are going to look forward, if we dare to look forward, it would be cool, wouldn't it, in the coming year to try and, you know, in common with what we were saying on the last thing, just even about something like a simple jam, you know, more music.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's the thing that the COVID experience has removed from us all, is the collective enjoyment of music together. And more of that would be awesome.
Brilliant.
Okay. Definitely one of my favourite things from last year was this continuing Strat journey. Regular viewers will know that the year previously, Dan and I both had our main guitars refretted. And it was a sort of real wake-up for me, because Blue, my main guitar, from which I seem to be unable to part, was causing me a lot of trouble, and I was really not enjoying it. Had it refretted, that changed everything. New nut, changed everything. And then it was like, okay, we'd been playing some vintage ones.
Yeah.
Went to ATB and played some vintage ones, and I'd been like here and there just trying to get my hands on all the vintage Strats I could, having played many over the years, but really now with a more sort of critical question: could I get this guitar closer to something original? And as luck would have it, a lovely chap by the name of Simon Green back in October 2019 lent me his original 61 Strat. So it was a year of discovery, and I think it's sort of come full circle. Dan and I will reflect more on that in the upcoming video, which is what we said we'd do in 2020 but didn't. At the beginning of 2020...
We did some of it, to be fair.
Yeah, actually we have done some of it. At the beginning of 2020 we made a video, what we're going to do this year, so we're going to recap on that, and there's quite a bit more about the Strat journey in that. But yeah, you know, always learning. I've been playing Strats ever since I was 14 years old, and there's always more to learn.
Yep, totally. So some of you will know I used to play a Strat before it was stolen, and that was my foray into Telecasters, which I've sort of never looked back from. But it was there's a couple of things about Mick's video that was like, to me, I felt were amazing. First of all, how everything made a difference, and nothing was better or worse. It was just a matter of opinion, and but it was, you know, the differences were quite stark. The strange thing though is, no matter what was done with the guitars, the 61, there was something you couldn't quite put your finger on, and hearing that with the fuzz into your 2-rock is still one of the best guitar sounds I've ever heard in my life. I'll never forget the day rocking up and hearing you. I was actually stood outside the door thinking, what on earth is that? It was you with that 61. So that was amazing. But the other thing, I think this is the first video you started touching on your mental health journey.
Yeah,
And
when
that
it started.
struck- Yeah, and that struck a chord with a lot of people. And I think I was, because it's something that you and I have been talking about for a long time, because we both dance with the darkness. And but I was so proud of you for just putting it out there and talking about it. And a lot of people resonated with that. And I think that was a real moment for me, aside from the rest of the great Strat stuff. That was a real special moment for me.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been a big deal for me, and there is more on that mental health stuff, and also Dan's vintage guitar acquisition in the aforementioned
Indeed.
things we said we'd do in 2020 and either did or didn't. That'll be coming in a couple of weeks.
Okay, next we have a video that I did where I wanted to see what I could do in a couple of weeks. We're in lockdown, and I thought, okay, I'm going to spend this time and see what I can achieve within a couple of weeks. And my daughter had also wanted to learn to play a guitar solo. She was a great rhythm player, but she really wanted to get some solo ideas under her fingers. So I put together this video, and the two things about this video that, I love, first of all, hearing Liv's first solo after she'd been practicing for a couple of weeks, and the way that I taught her to sing a pentatonic scale, and then I got her to sing the solo. And it was so lovely, hit with this sort of really clean sound, and she'd just sing a solo over some chords I was playing behind her. So that was lovely as a dad, but then at the end of the video, we had Dougie on drums, we had Adam Neely on bass, and Mick played a solo, I played a solo, Andy Timmons played a solo, and Joey Landreth. And that was it was just wonderful. Oh, and of course, I can't forget Jack Duxbury. So Jack was actually the first person I called. I said, oh, Jack, I've got this idea. I want to do this video, sort of jamming over these changes. And I wanted this gospel intro and stuff. And he went, oh, great idea. And I swear, 15 minutes later, he had recorded it and emailed it to me. I think, and the track was longer than that. I don't know how he did it. But yeah, it was so much fun. So yeah, that was definitely a great moment for me. So this was really interesting, Nick. This, as far as guitars being a revelation, this was fascinating.
Yeah, my very good friend Neville Martin, who I first met, we've worked out was 25 years ago now, when I joined Guitarist magazine, and Neville was editor at the time. He's now editor of Guitar Techniques magazine, but, kind of man at large in the guitar industry and has been for many, many years. Lent me this.
That's so gorgeous.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
And that is the best new Les Paul I've ever heard.
I'm just straight into the Tone King, no pedals or anything, into the lead channel actually for a change. Why not? Let's get on to this neck pickup then. Man, that sounds so good to my ears. It just... Oh, wow. Anyway, okay. Yeah, it's a Tom Murphy aged, true historic 57 Goldtop. And it is a truly, truly, truly spectacular guitar. Regular viewers of the show will know that I've never been a massive fan of Les Pauls, predominantly for ergonomic reasons, because much as I love the sound of them, how could you not love the sound of a Les Paul if you think about, I don't know, Clapton, Kossoff, Peter Green, Jimmy Page, oh my God, Jeff Beck, just line them up. Billy Gibbons, how could you not love the sound of a Les Paul? You'd be insane not to love the sound of a Les Paul. But ergonomically, they'd never work for me because they were always body heavy. So they always did that, slip off that way. And also there's something about the ergonomics of a Les Paul that sits in a different place on your body than a Strat. I'd always struggled. Plus, the only Les Pauls I've ever owned have been ones that I didn't connect with, let's put it that way. Sure. This is featherweight light for a Les Paul. I think it's like 8.1 pounds or something. Super light. And it just sounds unbelievable. The other weird thing about it is I can play it in tune, which I just can't do on a lot of other guitars. Anyway, so for a couple of reasons. One, to have the privilege to have such a lovely guitar for a little while, and mess about with it. And two, to have had the opportunity to change a preconception about something that I'd recently had, and I think those moments are always valuable, and we're always looking for them. I ought to give it back to him, really. I keep saying, mate, do you want your guitar back? And he's like, oh, no, I'm not using it, no gigs, so why don't you hold on to it for a bit? I wish I could hold on to it forever.
Yeah, magic. Brilliant. So the next one, this was a real unexpected moment of joy for me. So I've built a couple of boards for Rabea, and this was the latest massive board build that we've done. And it was great, and hearing him get the sounds out of the board and everything was wonderful. But then at the end of the day, we said, maybe we can get you to play a track. And so he had some backing tracks with him. And so he set up his board, plugged in the amps, and I was just in awe. First of all, the guitar playing was brilliant. The composition was fantastic. But his command of the sounds that he uses and the way that he uses those to elicit emotion, and it just floored me.
I was trying to rebel against. Someone who continued to reinforce the age of self in a time where what we desperately needed was the age of war.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Fraser saying he did the audio that day. He'd never really experienced a guitar sound like that before, where it just sat in the track so perfectly without much need for, you know, any post-processing or EQ, or because given that it's so heavily soaked in reverbs and delays and something like that, which can often be a challenge to mix. I mean, for sure, it's sitting in one of Tosca's own tracks, but Fraser was really quite bowled over that day at the sort of completeness of that guitar tone. I think that was on the eve, pretty much,
the first lockdown. Yes.
Of lockdown, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
We sat up the night before and watched Spinal Tap.
We did. Oh, man. Because Rabea had never seen it before. I couldn't believe it. And you and I are wetting ourselves in the lounge room, just bowled over. Rabea's sort of, I think he was a bit concerned for his personal safety at some points. But yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, well, if you watch this, Rabea, much love to you, mate.
We miss you. Hope you're doing great.
You've been skating a lot, I think, to help the brain out. I massively enjoy your Instagram posts. So,
have you seen some pictures of him lately?
Yeah.
Looking buff.
Yeah. So, soon enough. We shall see you soon enough.
Indeed.
Okay, the penultimate thing. Dan launched an amazing product this year, an amazing suite of products, actually. The update to his flagship switcher, G3. And, you know, here we are sat in a world where we watch products from anyone from Boss to Eventide to Fender to Gibson, you know, whoever you can imagine, spewing out products every year, and it's just become a complete normal thing to expect. Watching Dan launch G3 from a tiny company like the Gig Rig is hard enough. And then you add everything that happened in 2020 on top of that. And it was awe-inspiring, mate, because I know it had been coming together for a while, but that extra push to get it out, launched, and in the post to people who bought it was pretty amazing. So I want to say that was definitely one of my highlights of 2020, and a massive congratulations to you guys for doing it.
Bless you, mate. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I couldn't have done it without you. Anyone that's seen the launch video, Mick did the launch video for me.
Yeah, I was very privileged. Dan asked me to do the launch video. I love doing stuff like that because it's different brain space, nice and creative. And the great thing about working with Dan is he says, yeah, okay. And you don't get this endless, like, you know, nightmare of anyone who actually I should be careful what I say, but anyone who works in
but it was great. Mick says, okay, let's do some stop motion and let's do puppets, and I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it all. And it was so much fun doing that. But no, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that. That was a massive achievement, you know, for the whole company. And yeah, it was a big thing. So thank you. That's really lovely. Thank you.
Of course. And it's not just a shout out for Dan's product. It is two other things. One is G3 genuinely enables me to do some new stuff. And if you watched our first video from this year, you know, it's given me the courage to delve into MIDI using a few other devices. Secondly, on the main audio, like the sort of produced audio guitar track that sits underneath, it's all that Les Paul, the aforementioned Goldtop Les Paul.
Unreal.
Every single guitar part on that thing is the Les Paul, and there's that like really kind of bling, 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 bling bit, which you would swear was not that kind of guitar. So yeah, more revelations, more fun.
Okay, the final one, and I think Mick and I can both agree. Easily one of our most fun moments was having Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro come down and join us in the TPS studio with his stadium rig. Yes!
Think you're getting all of that there, gents. You're getting all of that.
It was unbelievable, and I'll never forget it.
Nor me. We did it under tier 2 restrictions at the time, I think, which was a little bit of a challenge because we had to set up the whole place so that everyone could be separate and masks and wipes and all that kind of stuff. And big deal. Simon flew down from Scotland especially for it. And we have to give a shout out to Richard Churd, who just, it wouldn't have happened without Churd. And of course, concurrently, they launched the Boom Blast.
The Boom Blast and Ruin. Yeah. So they made 200 of these. And so Richard had been talking to me about this pedal for a while. And he said, I'm making 100 and I don't know. I'm a bit scared. I said, mate, you need to make 200. Yeah. And he said, I said, okay, how long would it take for you to sell 200 of these pedals to make it worthwhile for you? And he says, well, if we could sell them in 6 months, I'd be delighted. I said, mate, you need to make 200. I think they sold out in a day. And but Richard had come down to see me a couple of months earlier with the prototype, and it was fantastic. And especially knowing Simon and knowing how instinctive he is about his guitar sound. Yeah. And you can put a pedal in front of Simon and he'll know in 2 seconds, rubbish, it's not for him. And if he'd got a pedal to a point where he loved it and was using it, then it's going to be good. And so the prototype that Richard brought down was just fantastic. So I said, look, just build all of the parts for 200. And he's like, okay, if I can sell them in 6 months, then that'll be, I'll be happy. I think less than a day, they all went. And I was just so pleased for them. And but, I'm a massive Biffy fan and I've been to see them probably more than any other band that I can think of. And having him on the show, and where he talked about, his songwriting and he actually did a performance. Yeah. It was far out, man. That was, I'll never forget it. Just wonderful.
It was. It for me, it ranks up there with the Ed O'Brien day from the year before, or it might have even been the year before that. I think the year before, anyway. Where it was that moment where you're in the presence of pure, unfiltered artistry.
Yep, totally.
And people who have been, I don't even want to say lucky, because it's not just luck, it's work, it's right place, right time. It's all of the things that come together in order for somebody to be able to be an artist. But of course, what underlines all of that is their drive to be an artist and their belief in being an artist and their sort of single-mindedness. And I think it's sort of a reset moment for anyone who's involved in anything remotely creative to just be smacked in the face with that and go, okay, actually, this is really what it's all about. And particularly in the year that we've just had, it was a timely and much needed, vaccine euphemism, shot in the arm.
Yeah, totally.
For what we should all be doing, and it was a transcendental experience being in the room with Simon and Churd for that day,
and just bringing that authenticity, and so that we could all participate in it and all experience it. Yeah, magic.
Yeah, big day.
I've spent about a decade making sure that no one touches this pedal. Church is now on the mission with me. But yeah, I love it. We all love it. If you don't love it, what the f***'s wrong with you, man?
There we go, 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah, our 10 favourite bits. Obviously, there were lots more favourite bits. They're sort of arbitrarily chosen. The one that we haven't talked about is Harmonious Monk, of course, which I think for both Dan and I has been a monumental part of 2020. I think we'll choose that to kick off 2021 and everything that we hope to do this year. There was loads of other great stuff. Zach from Mythos came in. You got your 65 telly. Loads of other stuff, which we'll be exploring a bit more of in coming videos.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you so much for being with us over the past year. And, you know, we're really excited about 2021. We you know, not exactly sure what we're going to do during lockdown, but we will come up with something. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderson's Music of Guildford in Surrey.
And our dear friends in Australia.
Would be Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland.
And we do have links in the description below.
We do, to sweetwater.com in the US, or Sweetwater in the US. If you click those links and you buy stuff, Dan and I get a kickback off that, and that greatly helps us fund this show.
Lovely. Also, if you want to keep toasty warm like I am in the vlog studio, we have some TPS merch, including hoodies and strings and pedals and T-shirts and beanies and you name it. We'll have some of it.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. We ship all over the world, so don't worry if you're in some far-flung place. We can ship to you, no problem. Probably. Definitely to the US and the Far East without too much trouble, for sure.
And also a massive thank you to our Patreons on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your support.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you as soon as we possibly can.
Okay,
Cheers.
cheerio.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.